It's like a spell. So you go through life with all of this trauma, right? And then you see it oftentimes people in their 30s or 40s or 50s or whatever. It used to be a midlife crisis, right? It used to be someone turns 50, 60 years old and they snap and they go out and they buy a car or they buy something, right?
Corvette.
Yeah, that's a classic example. And it's like everybody's made fun of that. Um, but it's actually very sad because those people have attempted to put on a mask and be somebody that they're not for 50 or 60 years. And then they hit a point where they look at themselves in the mirror and it's like their inner child is seeing without any blinders in that moment how old they are. And that realization hits that I don't have very much longer left in this life. And I just wasted my entire life trying to appease everybody else. I wasn't who I actually was. And I'm sure that there's a lot that goes on in people's heads. And then they snap and they go, no, I wanted a Corvette when I was 8 years old. I'm going to go buy a Corvette. Like that was my dream. And I gave up on that dream. So um, there's a lot packed into there. But as far as like trauma and trying to heal those things go, the spell that I'm talking about is that there's something wrong with you. I think that that's a very big spell. And I think that it is conveniently used because we're in a state of not understanding what healing actually is. So when somebody tells you that you're not yourself, right? Like you're not being yourself or you're not who you actually are. I think it can be used for manipulative purposes first off, right? Because oftentimes you're not who you are is actually you're not who I want you to be, um, which is
Exactly.
unfortunate. But finding out like when people tell you like there's something wrong with you, or when you think that there's something wrong with you, I would make the argument that there's actually nothing wrong with you. Um, and the way that I've been thinking about it is if you're damaged as a child, right? Damaged in parentheses there or quotations. You're not actually damaged. All that's happening is you're putting up a wall. Like I don't think that anybody can really damage your soul like that. I think you're always who you actually are. But we end up putting walls up and eventually it gets to a point where it's like you're a child in a cave that you have walled off. Like you've rolled stones in between every exit so that nobody can get in. But inside of that cave, there's still that child. That child's perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with that child. There's just all these defenses in place now so that other people can't hurt them. So I think that when you try to find out what's wrong with you, it is a spell. It's like a time wasting path that I think is done by design, and it leads down the same roads that like conspiracy theory, truther type stuff leads down. Like there's some truth to be learned, but you see people who spend 40, 50 years trying to figure out the exact cocktail of what's in a chemtrail, and it's like how's
Not
that
helpful.
serving your soul? Like what purpose is that giving you in life? It seems like wasted time to me. But it when you do that, it also puts an expectation on us to find something that doesn't exist. So if somebody tells you that there's something wrong with you, right, then you're going to freak out. That's your initial reaction, is to go, oh no, there's something wrong with me. Now I have to find out what's wrong with me so that I can fix it. But if there's nothing wrong with you in the first place, then you're going to be launched down a path of wasting your life living in anxiety, living in fear. Um, and it causes like a tear in the mind, like who am I? Because if society is telling me that this isn't how I should be, and people that I know are telling me that this isn't how I should be, then who actually am I? And I think that's what a lot of people are dealing with today. I think that everybody knows who they are. I think that there's no finding yourself that really needs to be done. I think it's more about letting those defenses down, letting those walls down, and just allowing yourself to be who you are. That actually needs to take place. So I'll stop there and let you guys weigh in.
Yeah, and also not being afraid of what other people think about you is a huge part of that, I think, as well, because then you could just, because I know from my own experience, I used to be a lot more sarcastic and more like, I mean, I was always like a nice guy, but I could also be an asshole. But as I started to get more into spirituality, I'll say, and walk this path, now I'm just more like and I said this the other day on my show, I'm just like a comedian all the time. You know, I'm always just trying to lighten the situation and raise the vibration in the area, and just being myself. It's the same thing, you know.
Yeah. I was thinking about some things you said earlier. You were talking about like when you're a child and you just have this boundless optimism and this just you just go. You're like a little like what is it, Energizer bunny, you know? And I was thinking about when I was learning to snowboard some years ago, like a long time ago. And I was seeing the little kids around me. Like I would come down a hill and I'd fall and I'd be like, oh, and I'd be like, okay, I need some time to get up. And I'd see these little like kids that are like 2 feet tall or 1 feet tall or whatever. And then like they just like fall over and then they'd get right back up. And I'm like, why can't I be like that?
You could probably
They're
learn
just
more from learning how to snowboard as a little child than you could in a school. You know, you just get to use all your energy and you learn to do something and get confidence in yourself.
I'll pop in real quick because,
yeah.
excuse me, that's what I was going to say. Is that I think is why we have this tear in who we are, is because we're from children taught that who we actually are is not who we should be. And you see that a lot in school, right? Like, you shouldn't be wanting to talk about this subject right now because we're doing math right now. And it's like, okay, well, then,
Kids' minds are all over the place. It's like,
yeah. And it's
what?
like, oh, well, there's something wrong with you because you're 6 years old and you can't sit still for 8 hours in a chair.
That's ridiculous.
No, like, and that happens in school, that happens at home. You see a lot of parents who are like stressed out from work, or whatever's going on in their life,
Mm-hmm.
and they take it out on their children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Child wants to go outside and play.
And yell and scream and
Yeah.
play and be loud and
And like a,
obnoxious. And
a parent will tell them no. And
yeah.
oftentimes it's done in anger. So then the child subconsciously goes, there's something wrong with me then because I wanted to go outside and play, but it's obviously not time to go outside and play. So why am I wanting to go outside and play? And when you do this for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and you just constantly have everybody telling you that you're not who you actually are or who you're supposed to be, then that's, I think, what causes that tear in the mind of being like, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
But you do know who you are. You're just scared of being who you are because you're scared of somebody else telling you that you're wrong or that there's something wrong with you, probably because it was done to you as a child and you've bottled it up. But the reality is it doesn't matter who the fuck you are. There's going to be people out there telling you that there's something wrong with you. And
Yeah.
people really need to understand that, like, you're never going to please everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's my current like because this whole topic is very relevant even in my life right now because my current trigger is being questioned about like what I'm doing with my life and my worldview and how I see the world. And I feel it manifest from like a child, like from parents, that expect you to be a certain way, go to church, rigid, this, that, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do that, or else you're not going to be saved, XYZ, right? And so me coming out of that, me coming out of like a culty religion has caused me to be very much myself. And I've brought down, I think, some of the walls, but I'm in the stage of like, I still get triggered and I still start to yell and raise my voice when I'm questioned. And so that's what I'm working on. Is like, I need to stop being triggered and just find some other way to like deal with it. I don't know. That's where I'm at.